Hey there, friends. It's Bill McDonald, the Reading and Writing Doctor. I wanted to clear up a little bit of confusion that might be out there about this year's test next week. You're only going to see multiple choice questions on the test in all subjects. Nothing but multiple choice. Even though there are practice tests out there from Cambian and Pearson that are showing the constructed type responses, short answer and open-ended, extended essay responses. The only kind of questions that your kids are going to see that are different next week in 3rd through 8th grade are going to be 6 editing questions on one passage or 6 revising questions on 2 different passages, where the keywords in the instructions will say, look for any corrections if it's an editing passage, and look for any revisions if it's a revision passage. And you're going to notice that those passages will be pretty short compared to the reading ones. But next week, you're only going to get multiple choice with regular TEKS and student expectations that you're already used to seeing with your kids. The transition does not start until perhaps the summer. If you go to any trainings like several schools are doing with me, I want to show you that to prepare you for this school year's field tested items, there will be 6 editing on many of your students' tests, and that will be cups with 2 S's, where their job, their only task is to fix the conventions. If they get any revising, because it'll be editing or revising, not both, they'll get 6 questions, and they will be only improving the content by adding, removing, replacing, or moving a word, a phrase, a sentence, or some sort of transition to the organization and development of the passage by putting something in, taking something out of the introduction, the body, or the conclusion. Now, starting next year, next May, in reading, math, social studies, and science, all of your students are going to get some of these short constructed response. 75% up to 75% will still be regular multiple choice, but 25% or more will be in one of these formats here. So if you have these folders, which a lot of you have the hard copy, some of you have a digital copy, they're going to get these above the line or only reading, when the ones that are below the line could be for writing, for math, social studies, and science, as well as some of these above the line as well. For the 2-point responses, I've been using the red light and the yellow light. What's the answer? Where is the answer in the text, and why isn't the answer? Give me solid explanation of why it's the answer. If you're trying to get a 3, those are the extended essay responses, where you're going to have to possibly give an example or examples what you mean and explain it more in depth. And they may or may not use the term central idea, controlling idea, or in high school, the thesis statement. And the thing that I want to talk about today, though, is one of the questions that we're going to look at talks about the voice or the spice of one of the characters. And you've heard of that saying that says, don't judge a person till you've walked a mile in his shoes. Well, always keep in mind that inside a person's shoes are his toes, what I call the voice and the spice of writing. So what is toes? The full form is make sure that whatever you're reading about has to do with the topic. Is there a truism that adds spice? Is there a theme, a message that can be taken away by the time you're done reading this to get the voice of the author's intended purpose, the message? Do they use their head, their voice inside their head to share their thoughts or opinions? Do they use their voice inside their hearts to share their feelings or emotions? Or do they use the five senses, what you might see, say, hear, touch, taste, uh, smell? Or is there some sort of salsa? Is there vocabulary and figurative language that's related to a specific math, social studies, or science topic? Or is there a figurative expression that sometimes makes things harder to read? Well, if that's the case, then your kids can go to the bottom half of the folder and review figurative language and dialogue, because sometimes it's not what somebody says, it's how they say it, and even their body language when they're saying it. So an idea that I suggest to you when you're learning the voice of a character is to have your kids get a regular sheet of paper and write with 4 toes, the acronym toes, and on the foot itself to write character traits, which is the voice and the personality of the person or people in the selection that you're reading about. And the T are their thoughts inside their head, or remember the topic. Sometimes you can learn about the voice based on the title, which sometimes talks about that topic. Top of my head. But inside my head are also my thoughts. You can learn about a character trait or a personality based on what they share in their mind. Also inside my head are my opinions. What do I think? What do I believe? What is my point of view and perspective about what's going on in the selection? What are my emotions that they're either telling with higher vocabulary or showing with actions or body language or movement? Because when they say show, don't tell, in reading, they usually have the characters doing something, moving a certain way, or saying something. And that's where the S can also come in. The senses, I want to be able to see the world, smell the world, taste the world, hear the world, and touch the world based on how you would see it. And there's even a tongue there for the taste. And there's little, when you zoom in a little bit closer here, you even might say something. So I have little dimples on the right and on the left so that you can talk about sometimes your voice is what you say in a selection or how you say it. So that's a cool little toes thing. And so it goes right along with the folder. With that in mind, let's take a look at the question that I wanted you to be able to use toes to analyze this question. It got 64%, which is about 2/3 of the 5th graders in Texas. It was readiness, which means 6th grade supporting standard. So let's take a look at it. Which attitude and emotion did the sister in the composition of the book show that reveals her thoughts about the speaker? And you can also reverse that as which thoughts did the sister reveal that shows her attitude towards speaker? You could have written that either way. And so what I did was my normal heart emoji, my heart, or my opinion. If she was not supportive emotionally of the speaker's love for her notebook, I would put a down arrow. If she was very excited about what the speaker would write in her notebook, then excited is a positive emotion. She had no feelings at all, no as in neutral, regarding the notebook the speaker had found, or because she was so smart, she was willing to help her sister learn to write. And the T and the S are what I'm going to use to answer this question. The thoughts of the sister and the words that come out of her mouth in the poem kind of show her voice. So if you take a look at stanza, let's see, stanza number 3, it says, my sister told me, that means her mouth opened. So if I were to act out her dialogue, it's crazy for you to just stand there overcome with joy. That's what she said. Now she's going to share her sister's thoughts or try to guess what her sister's thinking, her sister's voice. She couldn't understand how the smell, feel, and sight of something as simple and bright white paper could bring me so much happiness. It didn't make sense to her, as she seemed to be thinking, why does she even need a notebook? She can't even write. And again, the speaker is just guessing here, but she's using 2 of the letters of toes, what the sister told her, and what she thinks the sister is speaking because of what she told her. So I would prove my answer in stanza 3 for question number 6. And so let's take a look and see which answer best supports that. She was not excited. She wasn't neutral about it. We don't even know if she's smart, and it doesn't sound like she's in the state of mind to be helpful. So the only one I would say that would be true about the sister because of what she says and her thoughts would be that she's not supportive of the speaker and her love for her notebook. You're not supporting someone, you're pretty much, you're either, there's a saying, you're either for me or against me. So being non-supportive would be an attitude that you would have towards somebody when you don't believe in something that they believe in or something that they feel is important. So, and again, I believe that extensions are always important. So you can ask your students, what is it that maybe you don't feel that you get support from your friends about or from one of your family members about, so they can kind of relate to the poem, so it becomes relevant to them and they can put themselves in the shoes of the speaker and be able to more readily take on the rigor that poems come at your students with. So hopefully you like that acronym TOES that helps us learn the voice of a character by what they're thinking, by sometimes even the topic that shares the title and the message, the theme, the thoughts and opinions that are inside my head, my emotions that are inside my heart, the 5 senses, the things that I say, or maybe there's some specific salsa, some higher vocabulary or figurative language that helps me understand what makes a character tick and possibly what ticks them off. Good. God bless you guys. Have a great day. Please share or tag your reading teacher friends. This one is from the 3rd through 5th grade reading practice test. If you scroll down my page far enough, you'll be able to find that test so that you can review with your kids over this next week. I think it will be very helpful because I've tried to make the level of rigor of the questions as difficult and in the test format that your students actually got them. And many of you across the United States also have questions about characters and who their voice is, how to build a character. So I really suggest that you draw that little sheet with the TOES acronym on it And you might even add that saying, don't judge a person until you've walked them out in his shoes, because inside his shoes are his toes, his voice, his way of viewing the world and walking through it. Take care and have a good day.